A lot of people have asked about my radio control that I use in my boats. Here's one of them. It's an Attack 3. It is a 1995 vintage. My other two are 1994s, but they're basically the same. Here you can see that it's got the two channel controls, throttle and rudder. Note that the rudder springs back to neutral, which is where you want it. The throttle, however, does not. They don't normally do this. This was a little surgical step that I had to take, opening it up and removing a spring. There are also two servos, one for the rudder and one for the throttle, plus a battery pack, and a receiver and a switch. Finally, there's the last thing that you need, and that is the antenna wire. Note that this one has an alligator clip on it, which allows me to hook it into any boat. You'll notice here that on the receiver I've put a T for throttle and an R for rudder. That shows me where to plug in the servos so I don't have to do any guesswork. Servos come with this sort of a cog, and what it does is it threads into either one of these wheels or one of these cross T fixtures. Those have holes in them, and you can put wires through them. Now, they also come with these ears on the side. I hate those things. So I need the room, so I just cut the ears off of mine. What that allows me to do is pick up, remove, and then replace. I can move them from one boat to another with ease. And my boats don't move that much that these things have to be permanently fastened down. Here you can see I've also modified the T things. One has enlarged holes, so the other one has a little skid that allows the wire for the throttle arm to slide in it. You'll see how that's done in a minute. Also, a lot of people will buy the rechargeable battery packs for these. I found they're good for a couple of years, and that's it. Why not just get dry cell batteries and put them in there? Also, I found that I can get the connector and the AAA battery packs, which work just as good on all of my radios. You just have to be able to solder and connect them up. This is how I affix my servos into my boats. You see this one here is for the rudder, and this one over here is for the throttle. The ones in between are for the battery packs and so on. Insertion is just this easy. Slide them in, push them down, and you'll see later they stay quite stable. This is my throttle. It is a 500 ohm PC board potentiometer with this wire glued to the face. Since it's 500 ohms, it has a very short track between full speed and off. This is one of the slide arms that I use for throttles. It fits easily on here. And when you get as old as me, instead of fingers, you probably need some hemostats. But once on there, it functions quite well. Works really good. I've been using it since about 1980. Here we see it in place. And this is how it moves. Notice that the slot that is in here allows the arm not only to move up and down, but to slide and compensate for the difference between where the throttle is located and where the servo is located. So here we have our rudder controls. And there you can see it working. And you can hear it too. That's a lovely sound, isn't it? Well, it is on a boat. Now we see it all working together as it would if we were sailing, except for the fact that the wires are all hanging out. See, they're quite stable. Next comes the big challenge, which is stuffing all of these wires back into that little space. It can be spaghetti terror, but with a little practice and a little planning, sometimes some swearing, you can manage to get it all in place and get it hooked up. Notice that the battery pack uses a common 9-volt connector. Once again, I have battery packs that can adapt to that with a little soldering. And the deck goes on. There's one wire hanging out there. And boom, it's in place. I used to use screws on these decks, and now I've transitioned to magnets. Once the deck is in place, just put the boom back where it belongs, which is also held in place with a magnet, and we're ready to go sailing. That's how my radios work. As always, this is just the way that I do it and the way I've been doing it for 40 years or so. There's a lot of ways for you to do radio control equipment and install it. This is just the way I do it.